One, two, three. Harold and Brad, Windy City filmmakers. Harold and Brad, Windy City filmmakers. Harold and Brad. Da, 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 da. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another edition of Chicago Filmmakers, Windy City Filmmakers with your good friends Harold and Brad. We're in the house. What's going on, HG?
What's up, B? Out here kicking it in Chicago land, having fun during the coronavirus time. Hang it inside.
That's all you can do. Today, we have a very, very special guest. What's up for writer, director, super talent, Kameishia Wooten? What's going on?
Hey, y'all. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you. Good. I'm glad you're here. So one of the first questions we always like to ask is, what is your connection to Chicago and what kind of art do you create?
Okay, so Chicago, I would say, is the place where I learned to be a filmmaker. I went to graduate school at Columbia College, Chicago, and I lived in Chicago for 6 years. Yeah, the second question was?
What kind of art do you create?
Oh, films. Motion pictures. Film. Yeah, motion pictures, yes.
No doubt. So do you feel that when you graduated from Columbia that you were really prepared? Well, I'll put it this way. When did you know you were ready to break out to LA? You're in LA now, right?
Yes. I've been in LA for 10 years now.
Okay, man, 10 years, okay.
Yeah, it goes by really fast.
Right.
Time fly, yeah.
I guess, man, for me, I knew it was time for me to leave. I never planned on staying in Chicago, although I toyed with the idea because I do love the art community in Chicago, and there's a really strong filmmaking community there. But I felt like I needed to see how far I can go in my career. I knew I wanted to be big. I had already invested a lot of money into my education. So after I completed my thesis film and I felt like I had a pretty solid portfolio, I knew it was time for me to go to LA.
Good, that's what's up. Yeah. So speaking, your thesis film was Southern Cross, right?
Yes, which you starred in.
Yes. I think we all met on the set of Southern Cross. It was a great film. It was a great production. Where did you come up with the concept for the film?
Well, it was inspired by my childhood of me winning a Confederate flag pillow.
Okay.
Out of a toy machine, not knowing what it meant because I was probably around 5 years old, and taking it home and my mom freaking out. And that's when I learned that racism existed.
Wow. Yeah, and I thought the film was great, and it touched a lot of people. And it was in the Black Harvest Film Festival here in Chicago.
Yep, it was. Yeah, it's, I still get requests from time to time for Southern Cross. Like that film, it meant a lot to a lot of people. And I still get, requests after all this time to ask for, if they can screen it or if I can submit it for something. Yeah, it was the film had like some wings.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
So for a lot of your films, when you write and direct, are they usually based on a personal experience or something you have a connection to? Do you feel that makes it easier to dive into the work?
Definitely. Most of my films so far have been inspired. Not necessarily, they're not autobiographical, but they've been inspired by a personal experience or just like a something that's going on socially. Like it's definitely, I would say it is definitely personal.
Yeah. I was going to say real quick, you left Chicago because we know you from Chicago, and then you've been out there 10 years already. So talk about the transition and the length of years and the moving around out there, finding and creating and discovering coming from Chicago to LA. How's that been for you?
The transition wasn't bad at all. I literally worked my Chicago connections. as soon as I left LA, I didn't necessarily had I was putting out feelers, and of course, Bob and George are from Chicago. And so Sergio, who's actually a part of Black Harvest, I knew of Bob, but I didn't know him, but he made a connection. He introduced me to Bob, and then Bob, from there, I got the internship working at State Street Pictures. And so that was the first thing I did when I moved to Chicago, and while looking for full-time work. And then I landed my first job at Disney, and I worked there for a while as a PA. And then my career just like transitioned in terms of like working in the industry. And then I got into like more of the business side, the business production side of the industry. And so that's pretty much what I've been doing while writing and directing films, trying to get my first feature film off the ground.
That's awesome. I told you I want to come out there and be in it whenever that time
comes. Yeah. You did, Harold. I won't forget.
So you know what? Like, I saw this documentary years ago, 3-4 years ago, I think, about a Tribe Called Quest, right? And one of the music producers was saying how he was waiting for a Q-Tip to drop off the album, and a couple of days became a couple of weeks became a couple of months, and he realized that unless he said, "Give me the damn album," he would never get the album, because Q-Tip apparently is such a perfectionist that he's always going to be tweaking and doing this and that. And I say that to say I know how writing is rewriting. So how do you know, or when do you know that when you've written something, go, that is good, that you feel comfortable going to the next phase of producing, writing, directing it? When do you know?
For me, like the last film that I did was a short, and I just put myself on a deadline. I knew, because I do work full time in the industry as well. Like I really have to plan out when I'm going to shoot.
Right.
So I'll say, okay, I'm going to workshop this, until this is when I want to shoot. So I'll know that I have to put myself on a schedule. And then I really don't go into production until I've gotten the green light from my writers group. Oh, this is solid. And I'll send it out to a few industry friends to get feedback on it. And if they say it's okay, this is good, or you ready to go, then that's my sign. And also, for my last project, I put it in a couple of competitions, and I'll get coverage. And so, I'll submit for coverage. I think Blue Cat is good for short films. And so I submitted it for that, and I got really good feedback from the reader. And so I knew it was ready. So that was my cue for that it was ready. And I'm just really working on the script and getting feedback as much as possible. I probably wrote like 7 or 8 drafts before I went into production. And then after the table read, after I've cast it, I probably would do one more tweak based on the reading that I'm getting from my actors and how they're feeling with the lines and stuff. So I may do like a tweak. It's not a major tweak right before production, and then I just go.
So your writers group, is that just like a collection of friends or other writers who you run stuff by? You check out each other's work?
Yeah. I met a few. I actually went, when I moved a few years in California, I did the UCLA extension screenwriting program, and I met some writer friends from there. And so I've been with the same group for the last 5 years.
Nice. The
writers group. And then there may be, I think we added another friend that I met through the organizations of Black screenwriters. So it's all screenwriter friends that I've met.
Yeah, so like when you're writing, do you do like character bios for your characters and backstories before you jump into what's your process to kick things off, so to speak?
I normally start with the idea first, a log line, and I'll pitch the log line. I get feedback a lot from my writers group. I'll pitch the log line first to see if the story idea is compelling or is it worth exploring? And sometimes I go by my gut. And then I think the next step is to figure out what the story is about. And I do have a character in mind. And once I figure out what the story is going to be, which can be like a really like a paragraph type story, I'll go into character to see like what decisions my character would make to, to get to where they need to be towards the end of the story.
That's awesome. Because like right now I'm doing the Second City's Writers Lab. I did screenwriting 1 last term and intro to screenwriting a year ago. And so it's a process. It's a commitment to sit here and sit. I like to move around a lot, Kameishia, and it's a process sitting here trying to write. I'm like, oh my God, this is what I think I needed to do for myself in order to help me to keep moving forward, just to know how to write. But it's
torture.
Yeah, it's torture. Oh my God. So like right now, I'm sitting here on a rewrite thing because I got class Sunday. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, okay, I got to add more to this second act of this short film. I got to do more and more and more. But I got to figure out how I'm going to weave in the conflict, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it's 24 hours a day, this writing thing. And I commend you for even spending the time to do that and live,
No doubt, no doubt. So like most of us, most people are at home. I mean, it's like the 10,000 ton elephant in the room. So how have you been dealing with being at home the last few months? Have you found yourself being more creative or less creative, or how have you been dealing with this home confinement that everybody's under so far?
I do have the pressure to be more creative. I do think I think I was on a creative kick before the corona, the pandemic, because I just came from Africa and nice. And I knew I wanted that trip. I wanted it to be open up a realm of creativity while there. So I really focused on that and try to fuel my creativity. And so when I came back a week later, we were on quarantine. So I still been quite busy, although I'm home. Like I still work my day job. And then I'm writing before and after. And then there's a lot of organizations that are offering webinars. So I've been attending a ton of webinars. A lot of people in the industry have been making themselves available, which is really cool. So it's almost like getting another layer of education while in quarantine. So I'm just I feel like I'm making the most of the time. I am trying to, use this opportunity to take a step back and kind of relax since I'm always on the go. I think I've been dealing with it pretty well.
Good stuff. That's kind of funny because I kind of feel the same way, that since the lockdown has gone in place, I'm like, man, I've been kind of busy. Like I kind of need like a break because we're doing SP work through teleconference, and then we're doing a web series, and we're doing this podcast, and editing the podcast takes a minute. So it's kind of like been on the go, even though things kind of been shut down, which is kind of good because it would have been more torture if I had absolutely nothing to do.
Yeah.
That would have truly been torturous.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm busy, and I really am enjoying sitting here in the house, doing all of those things that you've named. I'm enjoying sitting here because otherwise I'd be out in the street running here, running there, running here, running there, running here. Because that's how I've been doing it for the last 20 years, running. And so these last couple of months have been enlightening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe people are either thriving or surviving.
Definitely. Right. So you did a web series a couple years ago, Man of the House?
Yes.
And raising money for that. Do you find that raising money for, and it's how many episodes was that, first of all?
It was only shot 3 episodes.
Great. So do you find it challenging raising money for an indie film, and what different tactics do you use to try to get money up for a project?
Oh my God, it is so challenging. Man of the House was a learning experience for me in terms of crowdfunding.
Right.
It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
If I can self-finance, I will. I did self-finance my latest project, which was a breath of fresh air that I was able to do that. That's the reason why I have a day job, so I can finance projects. But crowdfunding is hard. It is like you need a team. You need to like really be innovative in how you market. It is a good way to build the audience for the project once it's on service. I like crowdfunding. I think it's great, especially for people who don't have the access to capital to finance their projects. But you really do need to be strategic about it, and you need a team. Seed and Spark does this really great presentation on crowdfunding that I went to, and if I had to do it again, I would totally follow their format of how to crowdfund and distribute your film.
Oh la la. Yes.